If you are thinking of a bank that takes care of customers' needs by providing quality services with flexibility, reliability, and innovation, think Trust Bank Limited. With Trust Bank Limited mobile banking, you enjoy services such as balance inquiry, mini statement, funds transfer between accounts, exchange rates, mobile airtime top-up, stop ATM card, checkbook request, and PIN change. Our real-time gross settlement allows the customer to instruct the bank to transfer funds from their account to another account at another bank. Our expertise and experience in international banking is both legendary and the envy of the market. Retail banking, one bank, different amazing packages. Whether you are interested in savings account, current account, time or fixed deposit account, lending or overdraft, our team of dedicated staff is always ready and willing to help you out with your transactions as you wish. Corporate banking. Trust Bank Limited offer the most convenient services for deposit accounts, credit facilities, trade finance, bond and guarantee, and foreign currency account. With e-banking, you can make electronic bill payments and online banking and enjoy 24-hour access to your cash with our ATM. With the largest network of branches and agents, we give you the convenience to receive funds as you please. Trust Bank Limited, proudly Gambian.
fay lempo warugal la si képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga ak ñu fi dëkk bu fekkee ne ci at mi sa koom-koom weesu na $24,000 dalasi mbete weer bu nekk di nga am lu tollu si $2,000 dalasi lempo si la nguur gi di sukkandeku ngir liggéey yokkute réew mi GRA mooy banxaas bu nguuri Gambia sas ngir mu fayeku lépp luy lempo ci biir réew mi ba tax na GRA di yëgal faykati lempo yi ne warugal la pour ñu fay lu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment maanaam bépp contract bu waay joxe te si biir réew mi lañu toog kon xaalis si contract bi ngeen nangotoo war nga cee wàññi ci xayma téeméer bu nekk fukka bu fekkee ne contracto bi dëkkut ci biir réew mi bu boobaa di nga war a wàññi téeméer bu nekk fukka ak juróom lii mooy lempo bu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment lii mooy lempo bi nga xam ne yow mi joxe contract warugal la nga wëlbatiku dem fay ko ci maakaani GRA tax office bu la gën a jege mbete ci banque yi GRA jagleel pour fay lempo war ngaa jébal lempo bi si diiri fukki fan ak juróom gannaaw bi nga wàññee ci xaalis si contract bi amul benn contracto bu ñu teggil fay lempo bi xanaa mu fekk ne nguuri Gambia ñoo ko jégale boole si projet yi nga xam ne mbootaay ndimbali ñoo koy dépense GRA di fayeku lempo ngir yokk.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Bibliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Bibliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high-quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibara.
Kerr Fatou. Fatou. Oli.
Hello and welcome to this special interview on Kerr Fatou. This evening with me I have the Honorable Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Honorable Ebrahim Sillah. It's been a while and welcome back to Kerr Fatou.
Yes, indeed. It's been a while, almost 2 years. You know, COVID actually had made things difficult, and direct interviews were always very difficult. And kabirum boto kono den mol dunta ngansurempe politiko kono. Yeah. So really things change.
Things change.
Yes.
But I'm definitely glad to have you because I think it's important. So many things happen. The formation of NPP, the presidential election, the National Assembly election, new cabinet coming in, and we're going to talk about all of this. But first, let's start with the politics. The NPP. The NPP was formed 2 years ago.
Yes.
And you, former member of the UDP, you became the founding member, one of the founding members of the NPP, and an executive member. Tell us what really prompted the formation of that party, the NPP.
Well, thank you so much. That's a very difficult question. Politics is dynamic, and within that reality of dynamism, of course, people will come in and go. People will, of course, pursue issues that will enhance and enlarge our democracy. And as a result, that was also the thinking in ensuring that we have a vibrant democratic system that the NPP or a political party can also take part in and take part effectively. And that really motivated the setting up of the party.
2 years into existence, the party, just 1 year, few months, went into election, the presidential election, and then to the National Assembly. Let's look at the presidential. First, I must congratulate you. I know I have not done that since then. Congratulate you for the win. You were very confident.
Yes.
You went across the country. I followed you on social media, and you said you were going to be victorious. So many people never believed that the NPP was going to win the election.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, let me say that, the politics in the Gambia is very tricky. You don't gauge the terrain just by what you hear from people or through big rallies that you organize. I have come to learn this, even through the results that we have seen in the just concluded National Assembly elections. We were confident because from the time when other political parties did not pay attention to the changing landscape. When we set up the NPP, we were cognizant of 3 critical factors. First, it's a new party, and it had very little footprint in the country, apart from the name of its leader, the president.
Yeah.
All other things were going to be a challenge. That's number one. Number two, the party was also formed at a time when there was intense dissent in the country. You remember the 3 years Jotna came and passed. And the existing political parties also are were very formidable, both on the ground, but also in the social media. And every opinion was against us. And number three, the very people that we were going to rely on as our supporters actually already belong to other parties.
Yeah.
So you have to have some very workable strategies that you would use to A, sway the public opinion on your side, 2, bring in a very robust system of membership recruitment that will draw people on your side, and 3, ensuring that you are present on the ground. And this could not have happened without very strong and formidable strategies. So we studied the ground. We look at the strength and the weaknesses of all the existing players and those that may actually emerge. We looked at areas that we should concentrate on. We decided that if we were to make a headway, we need to look at what we call champions, local champions, in the wards, starting from the wards, then to the village level, district level, constituency level, regional level, and then nationwide. And that is why if you look at the NPP structure, it is the only party, or maybe one of the very few political parties in the Gambia that I can tell you has structures in every village in the Gambia.
Every village?
Every village, a minimum of 23 executive members.
Wow.
In every village. And you have to do that because those are the ones that will serve as champions at the base. Then you have the regional structures, constituency structures. Then you have the regional structures. And then you have the national structure. And then you need to have a very robust system of communication so that whatever happens, all these people will need to hear it and know it at the same time. And then they will use that to recruit members for the party and on behalf of the party. But for us to be able to successfully focus on that and remain relevant, we decided that we should ignore the distractions on the social media. And that is why all throughout the 17 months of the NPP, we were very, very minimally present on the social media because the people who would vote for us need to be recruited on the ground. They should be focused with the information that they will get from us in terms of what President Barrow stands for, if he is really elected, what NPP wants to do for them. So all this information needed to be packaged in a very professional manner. And most of it are not meant for social media because whether you know it or not, that is a hugely contested territory.
Yeah.
I mean, you put it there and everybody will have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
So you better rather focus on those people who will vote in the country. For them, you know, it's kind of like you prepare them. You know, you package the information, you prepare these people to withstand and ignore any disinformation or misinformation that will come when we come out. in the open. But as part of efforts to also ensure that our people are not deliberately misled, we maintain an MPP media and TV that does not necessarily run by the NPP party itself.
Yeah.
If you look at all our affiliates, social media platforms, at that crucial time, none was handled by the party itself.
Okay.
They were handled by party supporters and also people who believe in our cause. And we did this for a deliberate reason, because for a new party, what you needed to avoid was unnecessary acrimony that comes from official, official speakers, or official sources of the party. So, in essence, if they could kill it out there themselves, we'll say, oh, okay, these are ordinary supporters of the NPP doing it out.
Yeah.
But anything that was to come from the party, of course, it will come through a very systematic process of a press release or somebody going to a traditional media to clarify, and then this can be copied and amplified on social media.
Yeah.
That was one. Secondly, as a new party, a lot of pressure was being put on us to go into a Congress. But if you actually understand the nature of local politics in this country, you have to be strategic in that when people of the same household are told to go and compete among themselves for positions when their house is being built, like who should sleep in a master bedroom, who should sleep in the boys' quarters, who should be a driver, for the household and stuff like that. Sometimes some people will, of course, see themselves.
So it was politically motivated that NPP did not go to Congress?
No,
because you were scared of, Kajanjang, because when it comes to position, I mean, we know there were some internal wranglings within, especially when it comes to the women mobilizer positions. There were issues that were going out that we heard of, and
no, it's not necessarily.
Do you think that was it because when NPP goes to Congress, people that were supposed to be in certain position, one in certain position, ni masoto, we have seen that.
That is natural.
We will come back to that.
That is natural because ning palas kusabo nyosabo that is any more tema. Naturally, it breeds some kind of unnecessary competition. Yeah. And as a new party, you needed to avoid that. Okay. I have, seen that happen with other parties. And we, this is a new party, as I said. I know we have to learn from experience. And I think if you look at even the UDP, I think one of the reasons why the party is still around is because it avoided these type of things. Yeah. From the beginning in 2016. I remember even their 2020 Congress was crazy. Yes. There were a lot of issues. A lot of this type of things can happen. So you want to make sure that you prepare the minds of the people very well, your members very well, so that by the time you are going into events of that nature, everybody will know that it is in the best interest of the party that you are going for a position. And if you don't get it, it should be a luta continua. Are you worried that, you did not go to Congress and the law says every party, if registered within the 2 years, should go to Congress, and you guys did not go to Congress until the National Assembly election? When it was raised by the R2K in December, your spokesperson, deputy spokesperson, Sidin Jai, came out and said, oh, we are not here 2 years. That was in December. Yeah. But you guys clocked 2 years before the National Assembly. You had January, February, March. We had this National Assembly election in April. Why didn't you still go to Congress? Eventually we'll go to Congress, of course. But are you worried that somebody can contest the seats of your parliamentarians because it's a law that you didn't go to Congress? I'm not worried about that because the courts are there. I think it has been shown that the courts, being the beacon of hope for Gambians, are really fair in the way they dispense justice. So the right that you have to contest, that is the same right that we also have to defend ourselves before the law. So that I'm not very much bothered about that. But I can tell you that the NPP is not afraid of going to Congress. It is a matter of doing it at the right time.
When is the right time? Do we see a Congress before the mayoral and chairmanships?
Of course, yes. That will definitely happen. Yes, that will definitely happen.
So, Ebrahim, the presidential NPP over 50%. Me and so many other people never believed that will happen. I mean, when the Cyprus polls came out, I'm like, for you know, one can there. I mean, me and so many other people said that.
I know.
Because we did not see this coming. But
what was your baseline? Because you are hugely present on social media.
I am hugely present on social. My baseline was this. I looked at, we went to coverages, we went to rallies, we went to meetings. Just like your strategy was the door-to-door that you said.
Yes.
But I think most of us were looking at the rallies. We were looking at what was happening in meetings. And I think that maybe misled a lot of people, but my people and the other people, the UDP people, will tell you that is not, they still don't believe because they are still contesting the results. But that the court has said they cannot hear, and we move on from that.
Yeah.
My thing is, what changed? What happened? During the national presidential election, NPP won every region.
Okay, let me give you the reason why we won, and then I can go to the National Assembly.
Give me the reason why you
because
won.
Then you will see I'll lay the framework.
Okay.
The NPP, as I told you from the very beginning when we formed, you see the structures that we formed.
Yeah.
From the base to the national level, and then each of these groups, either at the base, at the local level, regional level, or national level, have a specific task that they were to actually do, which was to recruit members for the party. Like you are from Kerr, for example. If that is a ward of its own, we'll say, okay, Fatou, your role is to ensure that with the next 10 compounds on either side of your compound, should be your responsibility. You should check on them that they have voters card, and if they have voters card, interact with them to ensure that they belong to the NPP, and you sell the agenda of the NPP, and you're given a strong package of information about what NPP stands for, our manifesto, the agenda of the president, and also what we intend to do in this country. So while other political parties were engaging in big rallies, nothing wrong with big rallies, our foot soldiers were mainly and strategically focused on people-to-people campaign. And these figures were being cross-checked on a regular basis against the national data that we had. And that was the 2016 presidential election data, because by that time there was no voter registration.
From IEC.
And then we looked at the household survey data in this country, which gives a fairly good percentage of number of people in each household. And then we target this in a very robust scientific manner. And remember also, this data has telephone numbers of household heads. So you can sit in your regional office and do telephone conversation with these people. And our regional offices were well resourced to ensure that this task was fulfilled. Now, based on that and based on the responses, any respondent that actually did not give a satisfactory answer, that is ruled out. And then, you look at your tally against the, expected results that we wanted. And then they'll be followed on through visits, through house to house, and also through face-to-face engagements. And then we would follow this by organizing regional campaigns within that locality, using our regional chairpersons. Then this would be followed further by the presidential visits to ensure that they see exactly what our strength is, what our mobilization capacity is, but also hear directly from the head of state what he intends to do for the country. And that is why a lot of people were seeing the other side, because they were focused more on the big rallies. And I have had the opportunity of visiting some of the settlements in the Combos, for example, towns and big settlements where the opposition would have their rallies. Immediately after the rallies, I would take the trouble to drive there to see. You know, in Gambian politics, I have realized when you organize a meeting in, say, Sukuta, and immediately after the rally, 1 hour or so after the rally, you don't see anybody walking in the streets with your party T-sides, you know, going into their natural homes, then you know that you are working with a moving crowd, and you have to be very careful with that. And I have seen that happen in many of these. You come with your rally, you come to organize your rally, you come with your crowds from all over, and then when you are moving, you move out. Those that should vote for you are already sitting, you know, watching and observing you. So that was one important lesson that we learned in the presidential election. And there are many others of such that I don't need to say here. All right? So in order to make your events relevant, you ensure that the local people are the face of your event, they are the voice of your event, and they are the crowd of your event. Whoever comes, maybe that is to give confidence to others that are sitting on the fence or that are in doubt. So I think because the opposition parties were focusing too much on crowds, most of which were like moving crowds, we opted for the other way around. When you come in and move, we move in and then go to those people that you did not consult or that did not go to your
You move in and pump in resources.
No, not resources.
One thing you guys who have been accused of, Ebrima, is also inducement. That was something that you guys were accused of heavily.
No, I mean, I think that is over-exaggerated.
Is it? We have seen a lot of Carreros and Fenkol,
and
the president goes to somewhere, you guys give boreholes and all that.
No, but that was not unique to the NPP alone. I mean, I don't need to go into that. I mean, what we call politics of gifts, you know. But I think all the political parties did that. I have seen even diaspora groups of other political parties, opposition parties, actually doing the same thing and mobilizing funds and then, you know, support their communities in the name of their political party. And I think also a major setback for the opposition, not only the UDP here, but the entire opposition, with the exception of PDOIS, in the last presidential election, was the over-reliance on the diaspora and their influence on the electorates. The diaspora is very powerful, very influential, very strategic. But you have to be also very strategic in the way you use that influence, that power on your side. 2016,
though, the diaspora influence was very instrumental in changing government.
Exactly. That was because it was a dictatorship. And even supporters of the then ruling party knew the consequences of disagreeing with the status quo. So the best way to deal with the extremes of that government in this country was to use people in safer places who could say something, who could record audios or videos in their safe areas, and then, you know, pump them into the country for people just to make informed choices. The trend is reversed. Now in this country, what you were doing in the diaspora, you can do it here.
Inside,
now, because we have a democracy. So if you want to overindulge in things that you did in 2016, thinking that people here are not brave enough to make those informed choices or to take those actions, then you end up, you know, over-monotonizing the terrain.
I think I kind of believe in that. But would you say one of the strategies that your party also used was to brand the opposition, especially the UDP, violent, to brand them as a party of a certain tribe, and to even call them names that really stick, and the opposition the UDP was not able to take that away from them. Because let me come in, because I think some of those things, I have said it here openly on my platform, and I said, I blame the president, because when the president is on a meeting or the president is on a tour, and somebody said something that magnitude, calling a certain party, people with tribal sentiments saying if UDP wins, they're going to send the Fullers away, they're going to send the Jolas, and calling all these strikes. You know, these things make people scared. Well, was that a strategy that the party also used?
Let me make this thing very clear. That could have been a political statement by specific people, and some of them in the executive. But that has never been the position of the NPP.
But why was the NPP?
No, hold on.
NPP never condemned those things.
Hold on. Politics being politics. You know that even UDP or all these other political parties, of course, with the exception of PDOIS and also GMC of my party, to his credit, I've never had his party those things. No. But even UDP or GDC or APRC, no to alliance or whatever, even though it's not a political party, but a very formidable force in the West Coast, they are known for these things. You know, you have some elements will even take the podium and then say certain unpleasant things. But that does not necessarily mean that that is the position of the political party. And I think that is unfortunate, because we are one big family.
Yeah.
I don't condone those type of things as an individual. And being decent politicians, I think, you know, we have seen that NPP campaign on a very decent platform by engaging the media. We've engaged, and that is why I was telling you from the beginning that we deliberately limited our presence on social media.
I was going to say that.
To wait for the right time, when everybody was going to, of course, use either the social media or the traditional media to get the right information to assess the performance of the incumbent. And then we came in. This has been months of preparation, you could see, in every sector, presented its achievements, challenges, and what is in place to, overcome those challenges. And as a result, a lot of people that made it a business of going to social media platforms to get information were actually glued to these programs. And we use a very, very strategic media program to get to the people on the ground in this country so that they were not misled. And that is to ensure that we engage all the commercial radios and television stations in this country in a manner that at least every day on all the radio stations, you will hear something about the NPP 7 times in all the languages.
Yeah. I was going to come to that, Ebrahim. Yeah. I was not there, but my team were there. NPP signed up every media house in this country.
Yes.
You overloaded the networks. 2 weeks to elections, deliberately. Yes. And just like you said, to make sure something is heard about your party. Where is this funding coming from? Well, political financing. As somebody said,
the NPP is a well-funded party.
Let me come, Ebrahim. Ebrahim, because, the president is the president. When people, especially business people, fund you, they expect favors at the end of the day.
No, but did we say that the NPP got its funding from business? Where did you get all those
millions? Because I know your campaign was expensive.
I'm not the financial.
The campaign was expensive. The campaign was really, really, really expensive.
I am not the financial person, and I don't belong to the finance committee. I'm only a technician.
But I do know you are the one who signed with the media.
Yes, I signed with the media.
And you know how much you signed.
Having been assured that, we would be able to bankroll it.
Yeah.
And then I mainly work on strategy of the party and also other things, but not finance. So I cannot comment on that.
So you don't know where the funding is coming from. But
look,
you are...
as I told you, I don't deal with finance.
Okay.
So it will be, foolhardy for me to go and then, give an impression that I don't even have an idea about.
Okay. So let's talk about National Assembly.
Yes.
What went wrong then? You had money. You had the grassroots in the villages, from the village level to ward level to community level.
Exactly.
You had the money. There was no shortage of money. There was no shortage of resources, people on the ground. What went wrong, Ebrahim?
Well, let me say that success comes with serious challenges also. And this is not unique to NPP as a ruling party alone in the region. When we won the presidential election, it heightened interest in the party. It kind of rejuvenated, a lot of voices and a lot of people to be associated with the party, to contest for the party as member of the National Assembly. But because we had a very robust selection system in place, now, the politics in this country is actually tricky at the local level. When it comes to National Assembly selection of candidates, the executive had very little role in it. We left it to the regional committees. And these regional committees actually were responsible for the selection of their candidates in their respective regions. Now, of course, in Gambian politics, when it comes to selection, you want to select those that you are familiar with in your party at the local level, those that have been working with you, those that have shown interest in, supporting your party, amidst its agenda. In also ensuring that the spirit of that brotherliness
at the expense of getting quality candidates?
No, but you see, let me tell you.
Because I've seen instances like that, for example, in Brikama.
No, let me tell you, in the way our politics is structured in this country, we kind of like, it is not attractive to, quality and talent. In that, you see, the highly educated ones,
they have never been, mostly are not involved.
Yes, even if they are involved, but they don't want to show their face.
Yeah.
What happens is when you are having a good job and then you are highly educated, you are either working in the government or you are working with the private sector.
Or NGOs.
Or NGOs. And the government, for example, they will tell you that as a civil servant, you cannot actually participate in party politics openly. And then most businesses also don't want their employees to be associated with political parties. And NGOs is a no-go area. So now, what happens is some of these highly educated, highly talented people would want to use local champions, say, within a constituency, who probably sometimes they'll be given funds to say, okay, go and organize a rally, okay, go and organize this meeting. They'll be supporting, but they don't actually officially belong to the party. Now, when it comes to selection, sometimes you see these local champions who are the faces of political parties, and this is not unique to NPP alone, even UDP, they will rather come with those people that have been actually sponsoring the party through them. To say, okay, please, this person has been, supporting and, he's highly educated. But at the local level, the selection executive committee, they have never seen this person. They have never interacted with the person. They have not known him or her. So it is always difficult to trust the judgment. And when that happens, and this candidate is not selected, you see some of these people are highly respected. Some of these champions in the communities are highly respected. So they become kind of angry and disgruntled. Then they go with their crowd, and then they kind of encourage the candidate or their preferred, person to stand as an independent. Especially for a ruling party. That's what happened to us as an NPP. That is why, if you look at the number of independent candidates that actually took part in the election.
85.
85, apart from the Janjambure one and also the APRC No to Alliance candidates.
And Banjul.
And Banjul. Almost all the others, about 70 of them, are from within the NPP. When NPP only contested 40 seats The rest we left it to our Constituent Alliance members. So imagine nearly 70 candidates coming from within the same party, from traditional basis where you draw your support from, competing against your candidate. At the same time, you have a strong opposition party that went into this election with all its strength behind it, with all its supporters behind it. So that actually explains why we have seen a reduction in the number of candidates. But those independent candidates, if you look at the votes that they pull from the election, if you look at the results, and you add that to our votes, you will see that in almost all the constituencies, we are far ahead of the UDP, for example, in West Case, sometimes by more than 50%. So that tells you that the NPP's base is still there. And when I did the tally, we are still mining this data. When I did the tally, the number of votes that UDP got, save Busumbala constituency, compare that to the final results and the turnout. It has not grown. The UDP has not grown by voters.
They have not grown by voters.
They have not grown by voters, even though they have secured the seats, but they have not grown by voters. So what went wrong? Probably the selection process could have been more robust, and also ensuring that after the selection, those aggrieved independent candidates and their supporters, we could have reached out to them and did a rapprochement to actually bring them
you don't think that would be difficult? Because when the president they went on tour, Ahmad Bas said all those independent candidates are not NPP, they will not be NPP, and President Barrow also said there is no independent NPP, you are either NPP or you are not part of NPP.
Yeah, because this came when some of the candidates were going around even, some of our people were even supporting them, using MPP T-shirts, using the name of the president, using the name of the party, that they are NPP independents. And president has a moral obligation to tell everyone that, no, I have my NPP candidates. Now, if you opt to stand as an independent, that is your right. But don't use the party to actually get votes. And I think that was the moral behind it, the moral lesson behind it. But I believe that in retrospect, with hindsight, I think we could have engaged them, bring them back to the family, discuss as a family, and then prepare a way forward.
So the National Assembly is divided.
Yes.
If you add the opposition and the independent as it stands, it's neck to neck. Even with the nomination, it's by 30-28.
Yeah.
Yes, the NPP might have, the grand coalition and also the opposition and the independent on the side. If you look at that, apart from bills or agendas that are just simple majority, most of your plans, your programs might be stalled if the opposition, you don't have the support of the opposition. Even UDP alone have a block. You need 42 members to pass a major...
Yes, this is a hung parliament.
Yeah.
And in hung parliaments, it is left to your negotiation skills.
Okay.
And you look at what is happening in Sierra Leone and also in Kenya is like a similar situation.
Okay.
So, and this also points out to a very important thing in our country, that our democracy is maturing. People may vote for a president, but choose to vote for a candidate of their choice at the National Assembly, because the National Assembly election also has a lot to do with the strength and personality of the person that you have. So all those things can be contributed. But it's a very good sign of a maturing democracy. Even in very strong advanced democracies, ruling governments or ruling parties struggle to get majority in the legislature.
But are you worried that the president's agenda might be derailed a little because of the
No,
the
president
nature of the
has no distinct agenda other than the national agenda.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the National Assembly members are also there because of the national agenda. So in discussing the merits or demerits of a national agenda, of course there are bound to be disagreements. But what is important is let us disagree to agree on a national consensus. And I believe we can manage with that.
You mentioned it's going to take a lot of negotiations and lobbying to get things passed in the National Assembly. And naturally, that's how it is done. And when the day after the election, the president came out, and I think everybody, I have not seen a single soul who said that speech was not good. Everybody, some people will say, hey, Alkana Danku wrong, but everybody agreed that that was a good speech to reconcile the nation. A lot of people wanted to hear that from the president from after the presidency, because the nation is so divided, especially on political lines, on tribal, and a lot of these things. People wanted to hear the president. The president came out and said these things, and people were like, oh, alhamdulillah, this is good. The president is opening up for dialogue, opening up for the nation to heal. And then a few days later, to the surprise of, I mean, even your main opposition, the UDP, I mean, I just saw a lot of them quiet. They had not had a lot to criticize about that speech. That says a lot. That says that they got the message, they understood, and they were like, okay, he wants to reconcile. And that's what everybody wants. But then a few days after, and when the nominations of the speaker and the deputy speaker floated around on social media, people were like, no, is President Barrow really interested in healing the nation? Because I think naturally what people were saying, when you look at Fabakary Tomoe, I have so much respect for him. When you look at him, the argument here was Fabakary was in the parliament. In fact, he was the majority leader and passed he was part of the people who said he doesn't legitimize President Barrow's win. He was one who pioneered the state of emergency. Honorable Sidin Jai, my own friend, was the Minister of Communication, and he was the one who boldly stated that President Barrow will not be sworn in the Gambia, and he never got to be sworn in the first place in the Gambia. So people were like, really, some people are still hung with that upset and hate, right? When you look at the APRC and the No to Alliance movement, there's this big fraction between the two. So bringing Fabakary and Sidin Jai to be the head of the National Assembly, people were saying the reconciliation part that the president is talking about. If he had brought in somebody more natural, somebody who had no, fracas like that, that would have been a good move and would have helped. What is your reaction to those who say that was not calling for reconciliation, but it's like Nyawa Lolo?
Well, your question is very long. I want to start from the beginning, but let me also tell you that, our journey to where we are today from 2017 has been a long one.
Yes.
And maybe the not so good observers would have forgotten a lot of things. If we are to use the yardstick of Fabakary and the APRC and their role in 2016, a lot of blame also would be pointed to so many people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into a blame game.
Okay.
But what I want to say is that, yes, President's speech was very reconciliatory.
Yeah.
And there is no president anywhere that wants to divide or that wants to preside over a nation so deeply divided that he or she could not effectively run that country. Presidents come to lead because they want to deliver. Yeah. And that is the most important thing. And that speech, of course, was highly welcomed. And I think that is the most important thing, that we look inward as a country. Now that the two major election cycles have been completed, and we are hoping that we will also go through the local government election peacefully, it is critical that the president set the tone for the next 5 years, which is a country that is at peace with itself, a people who, despite their differences of political opinion, are vested in their respective engagements to develop this country in peace and harmony. And I believe, hopefully after this, more serious thoughts would come through to see what we can do to bring the people further, either through a national dialogue or bringing the national leaders, the political party leaders, because this thing has to start with political party leaders to ensure that we chart a pathway that assures durable peace and stability of our country. I can tell you that the outcome of the National Assembly election, I see, has brought in renewed vibrancy in the political scene, in the engagements, and in the discussions. I know. Are
you worried about the chairmanship and mayoral? Because
no,
with the results I'm saying, Ebrahim, you are not going to win. With the results I'm saying, it looks like you are in trouble.
Well, I can say that...
especially you, Ebrahim Sillah.
From now against the local government elections, I think in 2023, of the first quarter of 2023, a lot can change.
Ebrahim, I saw you. I still look at that picture. You picture with your 6 candidates of West Coast.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Ebrahim, out of that picture, when you look at that picture, 7 people. Ebrahim, the entire West Coast.
Except one.
You got one.
But that's what
and you were, Ebrahim, if everybody was not campaigning, you were campaigning.
I was campaigning all over.
I saw you everything. You were on the ground.
But that's what I was telling you.
Yeah.
That the independent factor
really killed you guys.
Really played a critical role in the outcome of the National Assembly election, to the point that some of those, in some of the constituencies, you will be surprised to know that 11 or 13 people were vying for the NPP assembly post. And some of these people who did not stand as independent candidates actually abstained from voting. So, and that is why I said, in retrospect, with hindsight, we could have taken a more reconciliatory approach to bring everybody under the table. And as NPP, I told you we are mining this data. We are looking at it critically. We did our first executive meeting. And when we meet, it is not like what others do and you go and do a press conference. We meet and critically analyze, use scientific data. That is our difference with other political parties. While others will talk about their experience and others, we use scientific data, we display it, polling station by polling station, village by village, area by area, what we did, against our projected, against our projections, and what we could have done better, and what we need to do to plan. And I can tell you that greater lessons have been learned from this, and you will see a rebound NPP.
A rebound NPP.
A very strong rebound NPP.
In the mayoral and chairmanship elections?
Yes.
Your predictions for that?
No, I'm not giving any prediction because, it is too early.
It's too early.
People are, when you have an election, even when you win, you have to deal with the shocks.
Okay.
First, because even winning comes with its shocks.
Yeah.
Defeat also comes with its shocks.
Yeah.
We have not been defeated.
You have been defeated.
No, we have our majority reduced. Hold on, please.
You have been defeated.
Hold on, please.
Ebrahim, Banjul, capital city, the seat of power.
Listen. You need to look at if you do a serious interrogation of the figures, you will realize that just like the NPP, even the UDP should be very worried. Very worried. Look at even areas where they said they have won with the too many independent candidates that came from us. For example, Serekunda West, less than 50. Talinding, 133, between Fatoumata Jawara and Baji, who won.
But look at Sanemen, 6,000 plus.
No, that's what I'm telling you.
Look at
but look, those ones.
Look at Busumbala, 5,000 plus. Look
Busumbala is more than 5,000.
The difference is over 5,000.
Yes, it's more than 5,000, yes. But that's what I'm telling you.
Is over 6,000.
Yeah, but if you look at the independent candidates, that's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Busumbala,
Busumbala, you have a lot of members there.
Yeah, but even with all the, votes cast, if you add them together, the independent candidate or the independent candidate supported by the UDP still leads. So that is still a cause for concern. And we look at areas where, we already started knowing the issues, by looking at the data. Fatou, in this modern day politics of the Gambia, you don't only win just because you say you are the biggest or oldest party. You win because you have to use data effectively. And there is a way to use the data. Yes.
Were you shocked by the defeat of a lot of people? I see a lot of UDP people say, even if it was just the loss of those 5 people, Fatmata Jawara, Baba Jaju, Baba Galle, and Honorable, my uncle Alaji Jawara. People said, even if it was just, UDP, you are saying, even if it was just for the loss of those 5s, they feel vindicated. Were you shocked by the loss of those people?
Rightly so, because, the acrimony, the acrimonious exit of these 5 from the UDP. So, of course, you will expect that they will celebrate their victory or their defeat. But even the Alai Jawara, your uncle that you talk about, you look at the independent candidate who came from within the NPP.
I think he pulled over 1,000 votes, and the difference was just a few
votes. I mean, so these are the things. I mean, the truth is, the political dynamics is changing and changing very fast. So to go back to that question, I'm not going to give any prediction. We'll wait until, say, few weeks, as we did in the presidential, looking at the dynamics, doing good random sampling of the voters to give you a scenario.
Before I move on to of the National Assembly, 2 days ago, the president nominated 5 members. Naturally, I think the reason why that provision was made for the president is to nominate minorities, to nominate somebody with disability. But last nomination, the president did that. We saw him coming out nominating a disabled person, somebody for the youth and others. But this time, the nominated members is all political. Let me make this clear though. I still want my auntie, my sister to be there, and Fatmata. Those are my aunts.
You are biased.
But yes, I'm being biased in that area. But Ebrahim, on a serious note though, were you worried did you have any concerns when the nomination came out? Because there was no person of minority, there was no disabled, it was all political. All fully fledged NPP members.
Okay, let me say that I cannot answer this question because I did not have any discussion with the president beforehand. His choice of nominees. So, and because it's a constitutional power given to the president, I wouldn't actually want to go into that detail. What you are talking about could be the rationale that could have been put into the selection or nomination. But because I did not have any discussion with the president to know why these 5 were nominated, I will reserve that for the time being.
But do you think it was somebody disabled or minority? There's
no let me not go into specificities.
There is no Christian in the house.
No, let me not go into...
Rights groups did write to the president. This is a time of lobbying.
No.
People will lobby.
Let me say, I don't want to go into specificities because anything that you say could be interpreted as either for or against those groups, and I don't want to be seen to be doing that. So I will rather wait until I have a proper discussion to get an informed opinion on this.
Now going forward, when is the cabinet coming?
Well, at the same time, I don't know because I don't select cabinet.
No, but Ebrima, you are the Minister of Information. You should have information. When when we elected President Barrow in December, we wanted cabinet in January. The president came out, you guys came out and said caretaker government, and said, oh, no, that was a mistake, now it's a government. When are we getting the Gambian people?
I'm sure the government will come.
The government, the economic
government will come surely before end of May, I know. I don't want to put any timeline.
Before end of May.
President will form his cabinet, but I cannot actually comment on it because I'm only an appointee of the president. You know, so it is him who will decide
when the
who is in his
comes.
cabinet and when is that cabinet going to be formed.
But what kind of cabinet are we looking at?
No, I cannot give you anything.
I mean, I watched the president.
I cannot give you any answer on that.
I watched the president's interview with Lamin Cham when he was selected Man of the Year, and it was a great interview. And he said the cabinet will be comprising of members of the Grand Coalition, meaning it's going to be a political cabinet. But all cabinets are supposed to be political cabinet. But you're supposed to also have technicians there. Yeah, but technicians who are also sympathetic to. Imagine, for example, now let's do the reverse here. If UDP had won the presidential election, and now it is come to the selection of cabinet, some of these people who call themselves technicians, who refuses to be part of anything in terms of the advancement of that party, in terms of, you know, campaigning for that party, in terms of supporting that party. Now you have your highly qualified political animals there. Yeah. Would it be just because you want to do political exigency by just trying to please other people and then bring in outsiders? Or would you rather work with people that you know are loyal to your agenda and the agenda of the government that you want to see develop the country, the agenda of the nation? But there shouldn't be. No, I'm just asking you a rhetorical question. How can? But shouldn't there also be? There are all cabinets. All cabinets have technicians who may not necessarily have to do anything with politics. That is fair. But to have this notion that political parties should get things lord on their heads by people who refuse to be part of their suffering, who refuse to be part of their bleeding, who refuse to be part of their agenda. Political, I mean, this is a Dr. Cisse. You saw the ultimate sacrifice he paid. He was a Swedish national. Yeah. He forgot that. He renounced his Swedish nationality. Yeah. He stopped his lecturing at the University of the Gambia. How many of those noisemakers would want to do that? Let us speak the truth. Are you telling me that, you know, I'm not holding brief for anybody here. Yeah. The likes of Sekou Sedili, Pata, PJ, and the rest, who have good jobs, highly educated, they even paid their money to come to Gambia to campaign for UDP. Would it have been fair just because you want to please other people that they call themselves intellectuals and technicians? But if they're not qualifying, I'm just telling you. If, I mean, every party has enough of qualified people within their ranks. What qualification is specific to how you see things? So you're telling me the Grand Coalition of course, there are certain areas you need sector specialists to run that. Yeah. But remember, most of the things that ministers do in all countries around the world are actually to lead on policy initiatives. The rest are done by technicians found at those ministries. All what you need to be is to be thorough and robust in your policy decision making. That you apply yourself well, you make sure that you are there for the agenda of the nation, that you do your job well, but the rest, and that is why you call them public servants. They are there to serve the nation through their expertise, through their knowledge. But if you put politicians in government also, Ebrahim, because all cabinet appointments are political appointments. But there are other, it's not just ministers. No, whether you are a politician or you are a technician, so long you come into that cabinet, you are a political appointee. And you are a politician. No, you are not necessarily a politician, you are a political appointee. So people have to understand that. And I think it is wrong to always think that, I mean, those who are outside, who always think they are more capable than all the others that are killing themselves in the political front, are more better to serve the nation than these people. Well, let's look at your own cabinet. A lot of the ministers were not out there. And I think several times I've called Ebrahim, are you the only minister campaigning? Yes, because I believe in my party. Because there were so many other ministers who were not campaigning. Well, I'm not here to speak. 3/4 of the ministers were not campaigning. I can say that. No. I'm not here to go into that. But that is true. All our cabinet colleagues are actually people who share the vision and agenda of the president. Either they are in the front line or not, be rest assured that they are contributing effectively
either through their policies, through their programs and their activities to advance the agenda. If you are not on the platform, be rest assured that you are implementing projects that are contributing to, enhancing the president's electability, that we are using to tell the people, hey, this is what we have done, for the people.
So going forward, Ebrahim,
yes,
the president has been elected, National Assembly nominated, elected today. Everybody now have taken their positions. Across the world, though, the economies are struggling.
Yes.
There's high price across the world. I just came from the U.S. few weeks ago. Gas prices are up there. But then governments are also doing things to see how they can mitigate these situations. What is the government of the Gambia doing? And I'm sure this might also be one of the reasons why you had poor performance in the National Assembly. Things are really expensive in the country. People, I've said this a lot of the times, when you guys don't come out and tell my grandmother at home, my grandmother always buys only buy kuro and bitter cola.
Yes.
If she's buying kuro for $5 and today she's buying it for $10, I might understand muneketa for kuro $10 la. Ni woma understand.
That's your duty as a media person.
No, that is not my duty.
No, I mean, you get all the information.
No, I'm
okay. I mean, you want to ask the
what are you doing
that we are
to mitigate the hike in prices across in the country?
To look at the world situation as you said it right now.
Yeah.
And zero in to the realities on the ground. Then you start thinking of how to make your systems robust, efficient, and effective. But also to reduce a number of spending that are not seen as priorities, because there are priorities of priorities.
Yeah.
And you might have seen the press release issued by the Secretary General.
Yeah.
Last week we were in cabinet and we took a number of measures, broad range of measures, which include first to reduce wastage in the public service. For example, now we have put a cap on post-paid lines of ministers, permanent secretaries, and so on. With the exception of the president and the vice president, there is now a cap. Yes, even ministers.
Wow.
Then we have also talked about the travels. Now, apart from statutory travels, there will be a serious monitoring of travels overseas. If not reduced to its bare minimum, then it will be in a manner that government will have to look at even the per diems paid for some of these travels. For example, if you are invited by an organization, if it is not the UN or ECOWAS or AU or the EU ones, then you cannot be paid a full per diem if you are invited at an event where they will host you. Also, there is a cap on the number of delegations that can travel. Also, fuel coupons that are given to ministries, I think, are sliced by 20%. And a whole other things, I mean, are there, like, workshops locally. Now with online meetings, a lot of cost could be reduced. So there is a lot of monitoring also on government fleets, government vehicles. So a lot of things are happening. And hopefully, now that the press release has been issued and the memo sent to all the ministries, we will see this implementation start in earnest.
So I know the GRA, even a few weeks ago, said, when it comes to food items, they have given a tax break to importers.
Yeah.
But up to now, Ebrahim, that has not been filtered to the ordinary Gambian. What implementation mechanisms is government doing? It seems like everybody is doing what they like. You go to Brikama, rice is 1,500. You come to Bundung, it's 1,008. You go to Jarasoma, it's 2,000. Nobody is controlling these things. What is the point of giving these importers tax breaks when the ordinary Gambians, whose money you are giving away to them, is not feeling the effect of it? And right now, that is the situation.
I know. What we all agree, what is happening in the retail sector is chaotic and also unacceptable. That is why 3 weeks ago, the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Trade had a serious brainstorming, a whole-day meeting on what was happening in the country. They issued a statement, and government is now taking this very seriously because the price hikes in the retail sector actually does not correspond with the government's goodwill to the business sector in the country. We, as you said, we have not been charging the duty on rice. It's zero duty and some of the essentials, and to the point that government is even subsidizing to make sure that food items are cheaper for the local people, and also fuel. If you look at gas prices around the world, if we are to sell the pump price by the commercial rate that we're seeing around the world, it would be $80. So government is coming in to ensure that it pumps money into the sector to reduce the shock on the population. And that's what we have been doing even for some of the essential prices. That we have been doing to ensure that, at least we have a stabilized market within the retail force, within the retail sector. However, because this is a liberalized market, it's a capitalist form of doing business, where you allow market forces to compete. But now what we are seeing is that the competition is at the detriment of the ordinary people who sometimes will go in the morning to buy a specific good. You return back in the afternoon, it is increased at a rate that could not give any satisfactory explanation why they are doing that. They've not spent anything on transportation. The NAWEC bills have not gone up. The water bills have not gone up. The rent prices have remained the same within that same day or month. So you cannot understand why they are doing that. But that also explains the need to have our own Gambians encouraged to take part in the retail business. It is sad that in most of the new markets that were built by the government, priority has always been to have the locals actually take charge. But we have seen in some instances, some people, you even give them a stall, they go and sublet it to a non-Gambian and then charge more.
But is it because, is it the government's economic policy, Ebrahim? Because I've said this several times here. Tax breaks are given to these big corporations that come in to invest, and these big traders. If I, as a small operator, comes in and want to engage in small trading, that is where my capacity stops, and I'm not giving tax breaks.
I'm not even talking about the big companies. I'm talking about the retail sector.
Even the retail sector?
No, I mean, you remember, let's start from former President Jammeh's vision, whatever initiative. Yeah, where in fact shops were open for Gambians across the country. I mean, boats were given to young Gambians. And we have seen how some of those things were mismanaged. They would sell the rice and would not actually bring back the money. Some of them, you give them the boat, they would go and sell and then use the back way, So these are challenges. When we also came through the YEP project, you have seen the Return Migrant Project, where you support a lot of young people to go into agribusiness, although small scale, and also value addition. But unfortunately, some of our people actually don't have patience to get the small money and then build on it to at least build a successful business. This also explained because the dependency issue in this country is big. I mean, when you have a small business like that, maybe a lot of people will come and then borrow from you, they will not pay you.
Yeah.
Or family will entirely depend on you. So the profit that you should use to enlarge your business actually all goes into taking care of the family. That also is an issue that we need to look at for upscaling some of these businesses and supporting them at the base for sustainability reasons. But by and large, I think we are seeing a lot of young people coming up. Bakeries, for example, you know, you remember when there was that deliberate artificial shortage of bread, you know, I have seen a lot of women groups in this country who have taken up the initiative now to have their own bakeries and then selling it to, you know, women in across the community. Although, I mean, because most of the shops are owned by non-Gambians, the difficulty is the excess bread. Some of them would say, okay, since this is not, you know, from our chain suppliers, we cannot have space for you.
Yeah.
Now, even, you know, this is very interesting because I have a close relative who is also, who has a modern bakery.
Yeah.
Interestingly, she's supplying, you know, women in different areas. Now, you know, some of these women who sell things at the corner shops,
Yeah.
you know, in the little corners.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have your own little butter or mayonnaise. You have to go to the shop to buy mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And well, they'll tell you, okay, since you have your own place and you don't buy bread from me, I cannot sell you mayonnaise. So, you know, the sector is full of challenges. You only know this when you are really involved.
Yeah.
Because we have been involved in the advocacy. And I was really shocked to realize that these challenges are there. And that is why, really, we should encourage our own people to go into all this.
All these areas.
Because that is the only way we can deal with this problem.
But going forward, finally, the government of President Barrow, what is the agenda next 5 years?
Well,
I know the first 5 years, President Barrow is the builder. That's what I saw in all your advertisements, President Barrow, the builder. Next 5 years, what is the agenda?
Well, the agenda
and
is...
the OIC, Ebrima.
No, I cannot talk about the OIC.
The OIC.
No, the OIC has its own functional media unit.
Are we hosting it?
No, the OIC has its own functional media unit. You know, I mean, I think they're in a better position to address that.
Okay.
I am not in the OIC board.
But what is the agenda going for next 5
years?
So
our agenda is basically to build on the successes.
Okay.
First, to look at the infrastructure outlay, to look at the real economic issues, the bread and butter issues for the local people. I think we have done quite well in the education sector. Now what we need to focus on is to bring in quality, so that when people graduate, they don't graduate with certificates only, but with skills. So that, you know, they can do things on their own. Also, we need to look at agriculture critically. The traditional support that we have been giving to farmers, that was principally on rain-fed agriculture. I think this is one strategy that we need to actually, and we are slowly moving out of that. Because at any rate, we need to feed ourselves. And this cannot be done without thinking critically about the use of land, the use of water, and climate resilience agricultural policies. So that one is very central to the next big agenda of the president. But also a robust health sector that responds to the corresponding needs of the people. That is why you are seeing that a lot of maintenance work is going on throughout the country, and new health facilities also will come up in Brikama and I think somewhere else, I can't remember. But the existing ones will be properly maintained and equipped. And also, I mean, this remuneration component, of course, is something that government is very passionate about. That is why, I mean, we are thinking about all this as strategic policy directions. But beyond everything else, we want to continue to be people-focused and people-centered in our policy directives in terms of maintenance of peace, law, and order in the Gambia. Because without that, no matter what you are doing, there is likely going to be a ground zero for all the processes that you want to start. So that one is very critical. And you cannot do that without being democratic. You cannot do that without, strengthening the pillars of democracy. I mean, strong media, strong and vibrant political parties, strong advocacy groups that will actually work with the state and non-state actors to enhance our democratic processes. So those ones are very dear to us as a government.
My department, my sector, telecommunications, GAMTEL, GAMCEL.
Yes.
I'm a big advocate for these companies.
I know.
And I have an issue with the government, not, because I believe the GAMTEL, GAMCEL should have been more, should be vibrant than this.
Yes.
I don't see this government supporting GAMTEL a lot, especially GAMCEL.
No, we are.
There is a lot of players in the business. When it comes to GAMCEL as a main GSM company, the way the private sector operate, they cannot operate like that. Their hands are tied. Today, the GAMCEL network is not the best in the country, and that is because they don't have the financial muscles. When I see people say things about GAMCEL, I'm like, I wish people know the conditions they are operating under.
Yeah.
What is government doing to support GAMCEL and GAMTEL? I mean, also the internet service, Ebrahim. Look, when the ACE goes down, it's either we are relying on Senegal as backup. Is there any other alternatives? We cannot always give our backup to our next door neighbors. National security issues there. What are you doing to support the main operator, GAMTEL and GAMCEL, to get them be number one in the country? They should be, and they were before.
Okay, let me say that there are so many legacy issues with GAMTEL, GAMCEL. And remember also that by their operation, GAMTEL, GAMCEL also are supposed to run on minimal profit of their own so that they can be sustainable. Now, when this government came in 2017, these two companies were almost on their knees. In 2017, we have the National Broadband Network Project that makes it possible now for you to stream
fiber.
That's
the best thing ever.
Exactly.
That happened.
And is one of the best in the region.
It's still the best.
In the
region.
Still
the best in the
now,
country.
What we are doing now is to expand on this. Right now, you may want to know that GAMTEL has started a very aggressive expansion project across. And GAMTEL hopefully will be out of the woods, with this project. And we are envisaging that to happen pretty soon. Now, with GAMCEL, they have some very old network systems. And to change that requires a lot of funding, which by virtue of its operations, government could not have. So now what we have done initially was to support them access some loans and invest that on the network. Now, I think 50 of those sites, the legacy sites from Alcatel, are almost upgraded to 3G enhanced. And the next one is to go to 4G, provided that satisfactory outcomes are delivered from this one. However, as a government, we have been working with GAMCEL to at least have 51% of its shares divest to a private tier 1 operator to be able to partner with. That has been going on. Under the scenario that we have, it may be difficult because, especially with the type of situation that we have now in the world, a lot of countries and investments, there is a kind of hesitancy in terms of what should be done next, with what is happening in Ukraine and Russia. But the issue of capacity, if you look at what is happening in the AU now, even with electricity, with the power pool, for example, in ECOWAS regions, you can generate enough electricity here, and if you don't need the excess capacity, you can give it out to the next country and you sell. So what we are doing with the capacity, we have already gone into some advanced discussions to have a second landing station for redundancy and also for our second option capacity. And that has been going on. We should have already started the work if we were not for some challenges that we face with the initial company that we were finalizing our agreements with. But hopefully, with what is going on, we are hopeful that we'll have a second landing station, and we will use the CG2, which is the cross-country cable between Gambia and Senegal, as just an option. However, in order to minimize some of the cuts, we have put in place some measures, of course, in collaboration with the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Fisheries, because most of the problems that we have is the cables that are caught on the sea by ocean-going vessels. We have now declared that area where we normally have cuts as a non-ocean-going vessels going area. Non-fishing area also, so that, we can save that cable. And since then, I think, since the last 6 months, we have been doing well. We hope that can continue, but that is not the safest way of doing it. You must have a second landing station. And remember, that is expensive.
It's very expensive.
But we are committed as a government to do that, because connectivity issues are critical now for our advancement.
Finally, Ebrahim, thank you very much. I mean, what is your final message to the Gambians?
Well, my final message is... well, that's what I'm demanding. I mean, he's... little man with little bantaba. Little man with little bantaba. Online bantaba. I see he has already started. When we defeated him.
So you're trying to share
when we defeated him, he went into coma. But the parliamentary election has kind of like kicked him back.
Did you see that though? You didn't call Kabri election or Kabri National Assembly. Today, Kabri election of Foiko.
No, we'll give them that as
they are
rejuvenated
now.
Yes, energized. But don't worry.
And they're going into this national chairmanship with that energy.
No, don't worry. We'll know how to deal with them. So, I mean, I want to take this. And also my sister, in Seattle. Now I see her also now writing.
Nancy went off for some months, but she's back now.
I think, it was a shock. When the election actually results were declared.
Yeah.
I only said, Allah, I just sent it to her.
Yeah.
She has never replied me. She has never said anything until, I think, 3 days ago, when I saw her all over.
But Ebrahim Sillah, where is this one? I love a picture of Ebrahim Sillah. Can you explain this? But if
no, I mean, actually, because I was very busy looking at the results.
Yeah. Were you shocked, though, Ebrahim?
No, I wasn't shocked. Because for us, actually, our baseline was 20 seats.
Okay.
We met the president. We had a good discussion with him. We told him our baseline was 20 seats. Okay. Areas where we got 65% and above, that's what we were relying on.
Oh.
And Janjambure came as a surprise,
because
we had 2 NPP independent candidates there, and also Busumbala, because that was also one area.
That you thought you...
Yeah, even separate state we were going to win that.
Yes.
So our baseline was basically 20. The 2 that we could not secure from that 20, I was a bit surprised, but because we did not pay greater attention on the influence of the independents in those areas. But that's why I wasn't shocked. I mean, now, the critical areas of where you have, the mix, whether you would win or not, we saw that we have lost in some of those areas, especially in the West Coast.
Yeah.
So I wasn't shocked, but it is important you draw back and analyze critically, to come up with an informed idea about a lot of things. I saw the UDP leader, in the press conference saying that if they were to hold a presidential election today, they would win.
They would win.
No, that is not possible.
If they win the West Coast and all the areas, they would win.
No, because you see, that's what I'm telling you. With the statistics that we have, the UDP is not growing by voters.
They are not growing by voters?
From these results, that's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It is not a good baseline
to draw from
that.
Oh.
And I think, every political party will need to do a lot of homework.
But I think the reason, Ebrahim, for me...
The enthusiasm of the National Assembly election alone is not a strong baseline to draw a winnable strategy on.
But for an incumbent who had so much resources, who have pumped in so much resources,
yes,
compared to an opposition, I mean, let's be honest, when I said this because I didn't know the results when we were starting our president analysis for the National Assembly, I said, I don't expect a lot coming from the UDP because I didn't see them campaigning. I didn't, a lot of them were in shock after the presidential. Everybody went like this. So
that's normal in elections.
Yeah,
but
so they were not campaigning. I even singled out the Talib Bensouda. I have not seen him in any rally. Every candidate in KM, you didn't see anybody doing it for them.
But you see,
so
what happened?
And they are party members also.
All the supporters who came out,
actually
came out in support of a UDP candidate in a constituency. Now for NPP, it was a struggle between the selected candidate and the many independents that came from within us. So that's why I'm telling you that the results of the National Assembly election alone is not a good baseline to draw a winnable conclusion or strategy for a presidential. We are never afraid to face the polls. No, we are never afraid to face.
Thank you so much, Ebrahim. It was good having you. I'll have you again after the chairmanship and mayoral.
Well, I hope you'll have the energy because, you know,
by then you will be celebrating.
I mean, I hope you will have the energy because, I mean, if we defeat, you know, I mean, our opponents and we defeat them big, I think that everything will go, you know, low again. And
I'll always have energy. This is my job, though. But I'll have you after the cabinet, though, because I think it's important after the cabinet rollout to talk to you guys.
I mean, who told you that, you know, I mean, I am even
coming back? Be here? I'm not sure.
No, I'm just, that's what I'm telling
I don't know.
So, you know, I mean, because cabinet appointment is by the president.
Well,
so you cannot even...
Let's say in case you are here.
Yeah, in case I'm here.
In case,
inshallah.
You know, my friend promised. He said, when I said, when are you coming to my show? Ebrahim Sillah. Ebrahim Sankara. My Akonyoko. Me and Ebrahim will come after cabinet. Me and Ebrahim Sillah and the other ministers will come.
My big brother is always optimistic.
That's what he said. So he has already, I told baby now. So we are also hoping that. Yeah. But I'm so glad to have you. I think this was a good conversation.
Thank you.
And I think it's important that we had this kind of conversations so that especially what is forward in the new government, I think it's important. A lot of Gambians are really looking forward to that. I think the first 5 years was more of a coalition government, but this is an NPP government, and what this government does is very important, and will also determine the future of this party. So I think it's important. So I want to thank you. Your final message to Gambians.
Well, just to thank everyone, especially the voters who went to the polls on Saturday to exercise their democratic rights.
Yeah.
I think we all deserve a big congratulations.
Yeah.
Having gone into the election in peace, we conducted it in peace, and we came out of it, you know, peacefully.
Yeah.
I think that in itself deserves a commendation. We also want to thank the IEC and also the various organs of the state, the security, also the drivers that provided the logistics, and they were running all over. But also to thank His Excellency the President for actually leading the show, for insisting that we have a political system in a country that actually deserve the attention of everyone's participation without coercion, without harassment, without intimidation. That, I think, is a contributing factor to us being all the winners. I mean, we are all winners. No one is a loser in this. And, you know, democracy triumphs and life continues.
Life continues.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ebrahim. And that brings us to the end of this one-on-one with Honorable Ebrahim Sillah. I'm glad to have him here. Kewolo mi alonka abuka sunkar sukuro dia abuka depansi dia abuka fendi.
Musomi ya fango na buka fendi.
Musomi ya fango na buka fendi. But it's always an honor to have you on the show, and we do appreciate it. And to the entire team, thank you very much for holding this down for us. And we want to congratulate the entire National Assembly members who were voted in and those who were also nominated by the President. Today, everyone was sworn in, and we want to congratulate them. We hope that this National Assembly will be vibrant. We hope that they will look at the interest of the nation, because that is what is important. They were voted by different, diverse people. People voted for their choices, and I think what every Gambian wants is the advancement of this country. And we hope the national agenda is what guides this 6th legislature. But also we want to pay tribute to Solo Sandeng. Today is April 14th. It is the day that Solo Sandeng went out. I said today, Ebrahim, April 14th, Solo Sandeng went out and he was killed. And today we sworn in the National Assembly. I just hope this assembly can simply help us get electoral reforms passed, have new electoral laws for this country, because that's what he went to fight for. You can take everything away from him, but what he did for this country, we cannot take that away. And I think this is what Honorable Fatmata Jawara, when I saw her being sworn in, that moved me. For the reason that April 14th, by this time, she was captured. She was within the midst of the security forces. Today, she's been nominated and being a member of the National Assembly. That was very touching. And I'm glad that she's here to witness it. Solo is not here. We want to pay tribute to him, through him, his family, and his wife and children. I think people like that should be honored. Nogoinjai, Falan Sonko, Fatmata Jawara, and the rest of the team that went out on April 14th. We want to pay tribute to all of them. Good night to you all. See you next week, Thursday, with another guest. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Better and stronger as the sole ground operator at the Banjul International Airport. With an expansion in travel services, customers are assured of GIA's capacity to cater for all their travel needs, provided by professional, experienced, and ever-smiling staff. GIA's Hajj package and services, by far the best in the country, give the customers the opportunity for a memorable Hajj experience. For a more efficient cargo services, GIA means business as it launches its new multi-million-dollar ultra-modern cargo complex to revitalize and stimulate air transport. GIA, the pride of the Gambia.
Every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon. To make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy. That daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements, merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.